Hello guys, welcome to Ask Raglan. Today we're going to talk about Amazon fires. So this is one of the most important and trending topic at the moment. The reason it is important because it produces oxygen for you and me, doesn't matter which part of the country you're from, because it produces 20% of the entire Earth's oxygen demand. So we are 7 billion people and each and every one of us need this Amazon forest. So it doesn't belong just to Brazil. It belongs to you, me, and everyone on this world. And so is every other forest. But this forest is a very thick rainforest and it hosts around 3 million species, which includes all the fauna and flora which is found in the forest. So now if you look at it, this forest was formed around 60 million years ago. So from Africa, the sand dust, which brings a lot of fertility to the Southern American continent, which is when this forest was formed, and that is why this forest is so fertile. And this forest has got rivers, lakes, a lot of water bodies which are intact, and this is all being protected by the Brazilian government in the past few years as a reserve. So now in the current regime, by the current regime, which is by the President Jair Bolsonaro, and this is a president who wants to destroy some portion of the forest to enable development. So that was his goal. That was one of his election motto, that he said that he is going to get Brazil to progress much faster and develop as a more developed country, to focus to be as a more developed country. So now that was his motto, and see what happened. In the last 1 year, there was reportedly 70,000 forest fires, and reported in the Amazon forest, and that is 85% increase from the previous years. So now that is way too high compared to what happened before. Sometimes cattle ranges, and almost in every country if you look at it, cattle ranges, they want cattle to graze on grassland. So they purposely create some forest fires to destroy some forest to create some grasslands. So some of these governments, not just your government, our government, every government will actually help these cattle grazers to get some grasslands to grow their business and stuff. So this was one of the things. Next thing is poachers, and then there is people who actually get these logging done and sell these wood in the market. So that is also there. So pretty much the government, if they just say okay to these guys, they destroy quite a bit of forest. So if you look at it, so from 1950, so there is around 18% of these forests have been destroyed. So there was quite a bit of deforestation goes. So now if you look at the circle of deforestation, what happens is when the deforestation happens, so the number of trees comes down, and so a lot of plants and animals, they actually retract to a different place, and then so there is also some of the damage that happens there. And apart from that, when the forest covers reduces, the amount of rainfall that reaches to that location also reduces, which makes the forest a bit more drier. When it goes drier, then we get into a situation when, let's say, the trees scratching against each other, the friction creates bushfires. So these bushfires is what we're looking at it in most of the countries. So like Australia is one of them, because of its dry climate and dry weather. So there is lots of bushfires that happens around in Australia. Similar things could happen, and this is also happening in every other country as well. So but this is, I don't think so this is part of like a bushfire scenario. Could be some of them, but it looks like 70,000 incidents doesn't look normal. So it could be something done by the regime. Now let's look at some of the other things as well. So now, how do these forests help us produce oxygen? This is a basic school level physics. So there is a process called photosynthesis. So the leaves on the plants and trees, they got chlorophyll, so which is the green color which makes up the leaf. So now this leaf, when it come in contact with the sunlight, and it uses water and starch. Starch is basically a material that is produced by the plant itself by sucking some nutrients from the ground. It cooks up its own food. So that's what plants don't need to eat something else to produce its own food. So it cooks up its own food, and that process is called photosynthesis. It uses a sunlight, and then it uses all these mixtures, and then it absorbs carbon dioxide. The carbon dioxide is a gas that we emit outside when we actually exhale, and then when we inhale, we need oxygen. So these plants, when they do the photosynthesis, it actually absorbs carbon dioxide and then exhales oxygen. So now it does reverse of what we do. So that is why we are able to survive this long. Without plants, we would vanish very quickly. So now this is one of the important things that these forest helps us to put the balance into back into the environment. So now there are a lot of tribes that are specific to this Amazon, which doesn't have external world communications. They pretty much live within the forest. They don't mingle with the regular population, or they don't really get into the technology era or anything like that. So one of the tribes is called Mura tribe. So they are part of this Amazon forest, and they're crying for help, and they actually fighting the forest fires alone. They claim that the government is not doing as much they could do, and the government is also not checking on the deforestation and poaching and other activities which is destroying the forest. So this has all been happening just in a plain sight, and so only the netizens are actually giving some voice, and it is time that every one of us raise some awareness and see if this could be stopped. So resources, I think in the coming years, governments will be struggling to find places to plant trees and to produce some oxygens. Now, as you can see, a lot of cities on the flyovers, on the pillars of the flyovers, they plant some trees and vertical gardens. China is doing a lot of these vertical gardens because they want to produce oxygen, because their people in the cities cannot breathe. This is the same scenario with India, London, a lot of these metropolitans. So now I think people take this bit more seriously and share as much as they can, and so it reaches the people who can make this work. All right, and thanks for watching, guys, and let me know if you have any questions, and subscribe to the channel.